Welcome back, everyone.
Welcome to the Unknown Codecast.
Yeah, there is some kind of energy today. Um, but what energy you won't be experiencing, at least between the two of us, it's that toxic energy. That toxic fanboy energy. Just because we're not there yet to have like a fan base out there, but nonetheless, it won't be toxic.
We can be toxic if we want to be, I guess.
Please don't hurt me. Yeah, no, the reason I bring it up is like back to back we just had these releases. I mean, yeah, they're over by now, but the Acolyte and the boys returning for its fourth season. It's a critically acclaimed show, and then the Acolyte, which is another Star Wars show from Disney Plus, and they were both received critically well. But then what ended up happening is the fanboys or the toxic fan base just came over and just review bombed the hell out of it. Like the Acolyte specifically, it stands at a 80% critically, so it is considered fresh. But then that's with 233 reviews, and then the audience score stands at a 17%. Mostly, I wouldn't even consider them reviews just because they're like, oh yeah, trash show. Cool, valid criticism. But did you watch The Acolyte or The Boys at all?
Um, the I haven't caught the new season of the boys. Not as much.
Okay.
And no on Acolyte.
Okay, yeah, you're not into Star Wars, so that was I kind of expected that.
I
Yeah,
like Star
and
Wars Battlefront.
okay, fair
Does that
enough.
count or anything?
The old game, not the new game, I assume.
The one for the PS4.
Oh,
No
one of the
enough.
recent ones, or
Yeah,
okay, because there was an older game for like PlayStation 2 that was better than the
and there
recent
was an
Battlefront.
older one for N64.
Yeah,
So yeah,
that's the one I thought you
call
meant,
me a
or the
Star Wars
PS2.
head, a Star head, a Wars head.
A Warzy. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck that is called. But anyway, yeah. So we've been going on this trend for whatever reason of yeah. Once a fan base doesn't like, I shouldn't say fan base, but like toxic fanboys, where if they don't like something for any particular reason, like let's say for example, the Acolyte. I saw one of the reasons was that it had lesbians in it, so it's like they're calling it a woke show. It's a female protagonist and stuff like that. Sure, it was messy writing, and that is some valid criticism amongst the review bombing that like again they're just calling it a trash show, a woke show, stuff like that with no like actual like all right, well, where's the meat to this like criticism, like where like because you're not gonna like everything, and that's fine. Just like you, I love Star Wars. You don't, and it's fine. It's like we each like our own thing. You have bad taste. It's fine. You know.
I feel like you're making me out to be like a anti-Star Wars person, but I'm not.
No, not at all. Not at all. No, I'm just saying. Not at all. I was joking about like the whole like bad taste or whatever. But there you go. See.
I know that.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah. That fire beat, so yeah. That's all we need. No, my point is like, yeah, not everyone's required to like everything, but
hmm
at the same time you're not going over to Rotten Tomatoes and just fuck this stupid ass show for like no fucking reason, and that's just where we're at right now, and that's why like uh one of the reasons why I wanted to like bring this up is like because like I don't know about you, but sometimes I go read reviews and whatnot to see if something's gonna be my cup of tea. Not necessarily. It's not necessarily gonna like make me decide right away with just a review, but I like reading the pluses and the negatives of both critics and people like normies alike. Just because like we all have different tastes. So something that a critic might not like, I might be up for. It's like, all right, well, that doesn't sound too bad for me. So I'd be like willing to check it out. But then when everyone is just like, oh, trash show, blah blah blah, don't watch, woke, blah 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 blah, like that's like, come on, where are we as a platform, as a review platform? Like, won't be able to rely on that anymore.
Yeah, I think I don't know. It's sometimes it feels I don't know how I feel about those types of things because to dislike a show because of certain characters
Hmm.
are casted a certain way is weird to me. I don't. I
Yeah.
don't. I don't. Because if I saw like, because this happened with I believe Last of Us, also the TV series where
Hmm.
there was a gay couple
Oh yeah.
and Ellie is in a gay relationship somewhat. It wasn't profoundly like in your face gay, but it was very sexual tensions between her and her best friend. And I know that got some flack, but
No,
I don't
I
know.
mean
It just
it was pretty gay. It was
Mhm.
officially official that they're gay
Yeah, yeah.
together.
So like it's yeah. I mean, it's I don't. I just care about the story, man. At the end of the day, if the story is good, but I try not to like. I know you're different where you look at reviews, but I don't look at reviews because I just want to see it for myself and see if I'm gonna like it. But I know how certain fanboys can be. I'm not gonna say every that about the whole community, but like I know there's a certain section
Yeah.
of it where
No,
it's gonna like
exactly. Yeah, to be
they're
fair,
not
it,
gonna
it
like it for
isn't. It's not the whole community for sure. It's just like
yeah,
it's
yeah,
it's
yeah,
it's the loud minority, if anything.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, it's I think this also happened with when I was like my first touch with like a toxic fan base. It's not as profound as it is now, but it's very like when I was a big Dragon Ball Z fan when I was little, and Dragon Ball GT, I believe, came out right afterwards. And I went into the forums to kind of discuss it, and some people were like, "Oh, GT is not as good as Dragon Ball Z." And there's these people that are like against criticism, and it was like, "You can't say that," and they're just like, you're kind of allowed to dislike it and like it depending on how you feel.
Hmm.
So I feel like a lot of times, like it just a lot of these guys want to try to protect it for like no reason. I mean, they trying to like everything. It's you can't say anything bad about it. But
Yeah,
now it's kind of took on the opposite, where it's just like you can't. You can. It's bad if I don't know, like for those reasons alone. Like there's I believe Acolyte has a black protagonist,
yeah,
if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, like I don't know. It's the same thing with like the Assassin's Creed trailer. Just like that whole debacle is just like, come on, guys. It's just like if it's a cool
like I'm
game,
not
you're
racist,
getting
but why is there a
yeah,
black
yeah,
samurai that's
yeah.
historically
Just like
accurate, but they're not gonna
yeah,
they're not gonna pay attention to that little detail.
yeah. And then we're gonna go back and be like, Tom Cruise can't be the last samurai, and just like, does this ever end? It's just like, can't we just enjoy it? It's just like always that person that's just like. I also
Hmm.
had a friend who one time when we were drinking, he was like a big health nut, and then when we had a can of beer, it's like, beer is X amount of calories and carbs, and I'm just like, bro, let's just have fun at this party. Come on, that's what this reminds me of. It's just kind of like we're just here to have fun.
Hmm.
Like we already get enough shit at our like in our normal lives. Do we have to
For
bring
sure.
it into our forms of entertainment?
Exactly. This is like
Hmm.
we're going to these programs, these games, is
Hmm.
like yeah, to escape, you know, this shitty like place
Hmm.
that we're in. It's like all
Yeah.
right, it's already bad enough over there. Can I just like jump into my weekly episode of like Star
Hmm.
Wars or The Boys? The
Yeah.
Boys.
I'm not too familiar about the boys controversy. That one you might have to like
Yeah,
tell me
so
about.
with the boys, from my understanding, the some of the criticism is that it's too woke now, which I just think it's pretty funny
Is
because
Homeland? I know he loved his mom's tits. The one from ones from season one.
yeah, wow, all right,
His
season one, yeah, he does suck some titties this season. Spoiler
I
alert.
love Homelander.
Yeah, no, but see,
If that's being woke, call me wokey woke.
no, that's not even the woke part.
Oh, okay.
It's so it the boys has always been very heavy on like in satire. Obviously, with the whole MAGA movement, they pretty much they put it in boys. I think last season, and it's really hit. It really hit home this season. So it's from what I've seen, most of the complaints are coming from the MAGA side, where they're like, "Oh yeah, no, this show is woke and blah 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 blah." It's like because they finally have you seen that meme where it's like some people in a theater, they're like, wait, is this play about us? You're gonna should look it up, but it's essentially that's what's going on, where it's like, wait a minute, like the this is about us, like the Republicans, they are paid like in a they are painted in like a not favorable light, and so because of that, like, oh, it's woke now and blah blah blah. When yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
when if
Because it does
you
have like those political undertones that kind of like,
exactly on
yeah,
both
like the
sides,
super far
yeah,
right and the super far left is just like this
exactly,
whole like waffle.
exactly,
Yeah, yeah, I
yeah.
get what you mean.
See, and the thing is, see, like you haven't seen the season, and you nailed it. It's been part of the show. It's in the show's blood, like since
Yeah, I think it
season
wasn't this
one.
season, but like I think last season where we left off, it was like Starlight versus Homelander. Like,
Yeah,
who's the better representative of
exactly.
yeah.
And so yeah, now it's the yeah it's still Homelander versus Starlight. It's
Mhm.
essentially a battle of Republicans versus Democrats, or like not even that, but just like the far right and far left,
Mhm.
which is like two extremes, not like anywhere near in the middle. But yeah, so yeah, this season definitely just rang a little bit too close to home.
Mhm.
And yeah, those are most of the negative um, comments or like review bombs. I have seen some valid criticisms on like both the Acolyte and the Boys, with which like, oh yeah, it has like some messy writing. It's
Mhm.
not what it used to be, and it's like, all right, that's fair. That's what I
Mhm.
like want to look at like for reviews and stuff. And again, it's not like the ultimate deciding factor for me. I just like look. I like to look at reviews for like entertainment purposes, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, Not to like spread more hate and stuff like that, which is
Well,
what this is now.
to be fair, just like I said, just play devil's advocate.
Of course.
If I had to be in the mind of a toxic fan, quote unquote, you have to also realize that the whole like diversity just to be diverse may show in a show or a movie that you like or a video game.
Mm-hmm.
That I get that's what like I'm guessing what they're fighting for. Just like you ruined what I like. Let's say you were you ruined Star Wars just for the sake of being diverse. Just to try to, because there is a business side where like let's say Disney's like, hey, we need to open up to appeal to a different market,
Mm-hmm.
and they start casting members of different, more diverse cast, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
a more diverse cast. So you can, a lot of fans might say, even members of that specific group that they're casting for, like let's say an Asian person, they're casting an Asian character, and as a as an Asian person, you might think that's great, but also if I was a Star Wars fan and they're just doing it for the sake of being diverse and trying to appeal to a different market, you might feel some type of way about that because you just feel like, oh, this is just more business than they are trying to make just an overall good movie. What did you say? How about like that argument where they're just casting a diverse cast for the sake of diversity instead of trying to carry on this like, because Star Wars has been around for decades, and just like they
Mm-hmm.
have a certain tradition and a certain way that they portray their movies, and for like Disney to come in and say like, hey, we just want to, hey, they cast a they just want to put diversity out there, which is good, but like I said, if you sacrifice quality for the sake of diversity, do you think that those toxic fans may be trying to fight that, or do you
I
think
mean, that is
that?
definitely one of their louder arguments for sure,
Mhm.
and maybe the way they go about it just screams out racism.
Hmm.
Even if like yeah, like you said, even if like the
I
quality
mean,
takes a hit,
to
then they have
on surface level, it might be racism, but I'm just saying like that's what I think. If I had to put my shoes in that fans, if I had to put myself in that fan's shoes, excuse me, that might be what he might be arguing. It's just like, for example, let's say I didn't like the Eternals too much. I know it was a female director who I think directed, what did she direct before? I forget. But anyway, Eternals was directed by a female. I have nothing against it, a female directing the movie. I just was not pleased with the Eternals.
mhm.
But a lot of people would say to me, a lot of people might say to me, "Oh, you're anti-feminism or anti-female," but it's not. I just didn't like that movie, and Marvel was on a kill streak before the Eternals. Well,
For
a little
sure.
before the Eternals, but like it's that might be. I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of a fan who might be complaining about the Acolyte. It's just what I'm doing. It's just I get it on the surface level. If you're against diversity, that may be count towards racism, but that might not be their argument. They might be fine with diversity. They just don't want it to be the forefront of when they start writing these shows and producing these shows.
Right.
I'm just saying.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, I get that, and to a certain degree, yeah, it does make sense. But like, God forbid there being black, Asian, Hispanic characters in the show about fucking space. Like it has aliens and stuff, but yeah, no, God forbid, like, oh yeah, you're focusing a little bit too much on this lesbian black chick.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I'm not part of it because, like,
Yeah,
if
of course, of
fucking
course.
lesbian person comes out, I'm like, they're lesbian. That's not my focus to the whole thing. It's just kind
So
of like,
Daniel
oh, they're
Kim is
lesbian.
against. Nah. Yeah, of course. No, yeah. It's see, it's always healthier to look at both sides, try to see it from their perspective, see if it makes sense, and blah blah blah. That and that's how like normal people would like meet halfway, or at least understand each other. And
Hmm.
that's something that I would say that the toxic fanboys on both sides, not saying one way or the other, but the
Yeah, yeah.
toxic people or like the fan bases will never do. They'll
Mhm.
one side will be loud and the other side will get louder because they're loud and blah blah blah, and then at one point they'll just
Yeah,
be
yeah,
yelling at each other and forget that they were talking about the show to begin with, you know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's
That's
just kind of like, because I don't even like to label toxic fans as toxic because it's just I just don't know where they're coming from. It's just like they
so
might be racist, they might be like prejudiced,
I think
but
so
yeah.
when you have a at least the way I look at it, I don't speak for like everyone obviously, but when I call someone like a toxic fan or toxic fan base is when
Hmm.
you're just like literally just like shutting anyone that likes it down. So like let's say I'm like you're enjoying the Acolyte. It's like the
Hmm.
first Star Wars show that you're liking in a long time. You're like, you know what? This show's actually like all right, you know, I'm gonna start. This is the first Star Wars show I've consumed in years, and I'm actually enjoying it. And then I like you post your excitement on Twitter or something, and then I just reply to you like oh yeah, you have no fucking taste. Like this show is trash. You're trash for liking it. It shows your taste and blah blah blah. Your mom's a whore. It just like yeah, it just gets that like that crazy. It's like, all right, come on.
Yeah.
So on the other hand, I could go like, oh really? Glad you liked it. Wasn't for me. It just like the story. It was messy. It messed with the Star Wars lore, which is some of the valid criticism that I've seen for this show. I've
Hmm.
only caught one episode, and I could say it was like it's all right. If I were to rate just episode one, I would give it like a 6 or 7. It's fine.
Okay.
I'm still gonna
Oh, you
watch
only
the rest
saw
of the
one
season.
episode?
Yeah,
Doesn't
just the
sound like you're a
premiere.
Star Wars fan either.
I've been catching up on. I literally just binge watched The Boys. I started watching Cobra Kai, and I need to make time for my video games. So I have a lot on my plate. Haven't even finished Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So yeah, that's why I haven't caught up to the Acolyte. But I did manage to watch one episode, and just to see what the whole like
Mm.
thing is about. Like why? Because like if you go to Rotten Tomatoes, it's still like the difference is polarizing, where it's 80% considered fresh from critics, and then the normal like users they it's at 17%. It's considered rotten essentially. So it's like, all right, what like there's like something going on over here. And yeah, like I mentioned earlier, you don't have to like everything. Like you definitely don't. It would be a boring world if everyone liked the same thing. But at the same time, it's like, all right, well, what's going on here? And a lot of the criticisms aren't really criticisms as much as like just hate mongering online.
Okay. Yeah. Uh, I mean, it makes sense because I don't know. Like sometimes it just gets so hard to determine that factor because I know that
Mm-hmm.
words get thrown around a lot lately. So it's just like if
Yeah.
your opinion differs from mine, it's like you're toxic. It's just like kind of like
Yeah.
I didn't
Why are
mean
you
it that
bringing me
way,
down,
you know?
man? Why are you bringing
Yeah,
me
yeah.
down?
It's
It's
just
like
like that's where it's kind of gets it becomes there's a
it's
gray area we
tiresome.
hit when it comes. Yeah, it gets very like tiresome. It's just I don't know. I just don't like if I don't like something, I don't go online and comment. It's just like I'm just like okay, like people like this, let them enjoy it, you know?
Yeah.
Like I don't like certain things and just like I'm not gonna go out of my way to try to make their lives a living hell for it. I'm just kind of like, you know, you enjoy it.
It's like, oh,
Not
you
for me
enjoy that?
though.
Cool. You enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Mhm.
go over here and watch this other thing, and then
Yeah,
we
I'm
can
gonna watch
regroup after.
Mandalorian. Yeah. Yeah. So it's just kind of like I don't know. I just wish that the internet gets really crazy sometimes.
Yeah.
It just a lot of times just gets so exhausting to read comments. There's some funny ones, really
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
comments,
So
but it
it's
just a
like,
lot
hey,
of
man.
times you just come out and be like, oh God, it just came out of like a dirty alleyway. It's just like ugh. You have this weird feeling that you have,
Yeah,
you
I
know.
am guilty
So
of that. Of just like going to like, let's say I'm scrolling on Instagram or whatever, and then I see a post. I'm like,
mhm.
oh, this is rage bait, like for sure. Where
Yeah.
someone's
Hmm.
like for this purposes of this conversation, like yeah, the Acolyte. They give the season finale. Like IGN gave it a 6, I think, a
Hmm.
6 or a 7. And so I'm like, all right, let's go to the comments, and it's like, you gave this show an 8, but you gave this trash show a 7. Like what the hell? IGN stands for ignorant. Blah 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 blah. Blah. And I know that's coming because it always comes, but I just can't help myself. Just like I click and then just read these comments, and then you see these two
Yeah, yeah.
people
I
fighting
know.
each other. These strangers
It's
just.
like it's yeah, yeah. It's like that car crash on the freeway. You just you don't want to you don't you wish it didn't happen, but you just can't help but
Yeah,
look at it.
for sure. And I'm like, all right,
But
I
yeah, I
don't
mean,
partake in this toxicity, but I will observe.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. I know like
Yeah.
people get pretty like riled up about those kinds of things. I don't know. I just can't. I just can't. I guess I'm too old and tired. It's just like,
Just let me rest. Let
yeah,
me enjoy my
yeah, exactly.
whatever. Yeah,
I
but
was
like
just like,
on that
yeah.
note, I know you're not like following reviews or not looking for reviews or whatever, but
Mhm.
is there, do you think there's a way that websites like Rotten Tomatoes can counter review bombing? I know they've done a thing in the past where um, like quote unquote certified like viewers. Like let's say like,
Mhm.
oh, you want to review this? Upload a ticket stub, stuff like that. Do you think there's
Mhm.
anything that websites like this can do, or are we
To
just
be
doomed to
honest,
like
I mean, to be honest, no. I think that's why they have the critic side and the audience side, mainly because of these reasons. It's just kind of
mhm,
like I think if you leave things up to people that like just review things for the sake of reviewing things, I think everybody's standard and how they point things are different. Like for example, Yelp reviews. Like when they review a restaurant, it's like, oh, the service gave me a look when she gave me my food, 1 star. I'm just like, I get that that's a horrible thing. It should count as some type of a deduction, not from a 5 to a 1. You know,
right?
you if you address the manager and the manager was helpful to help you out, that raises the at least to a 4 star. Isn't like that's the thing where it's kind of dangerous when you leave reviews up to like kind of normal people. I don't, not in a bad way, but just regular
No, I
people who
get what you're
don't
saying.
do reviews for a living. Just kind of
Yeah.
like everybody when they review, like professional reviewers, I guess professional reviewers
I mean, they
who
get
do it.
paid for it, so they
Yeah, who
are
get paid for
professional.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
they have like a certain point system, I guess, that they work with. Like they have certain things that they kind of want to review when they look at a movie. Maybe like characters are interesting, plot lines, what excitement. I mean, I guess they have different standards of like a different like standard of measurements when
Yeah.
I don't know, like I'm trying to think of a way to say this, but
I mean, they take the good, they
they
take the bad, and
yeah, they add points and deduct points
yeah.
depending on what they see in the movie, but like it's yeah, it's just it gets difficult when you leave it up to the average person, and I don't think there's ever going to be a point where you can stop this unless you do some and it's like, is it worth the hassle to stop all this?
Yeah,
Is it worth it?
unfortunately.
And you just kind of have to be like, hopefully this doesn't really affect. I'll agree with you. Like review bombing sucks, but it's just like,
Yeah, of course.
are you gonna update your method of stopping it faster than these guys are gonna create new accounts just to review bomb it? Probably
Hmm.
not.
Yeah.
It's just like you just have to hope that people kind of know and sense these types of things and just be like, the critics gave it a good review. You
Yeah.
know,
Like,
I don't know.
yeah,
It's just
hopefully when they
I
go
don't
for
think it'll ever.
reviews,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's like asking. I hope Karens will not exist one day. It's just like there always be a Karen
They're born every day.
or a Carl. What's the male
I don't
version of
think
a
I
Karen?
don't think there's like a general consensus of what a male Karen would be because
Oh,
I know
so everybody's just a Karen.
I know I've heard Ken. I think I've heard Dave at one point. There's
Dave, that's the
I
most random.
so weird.
Even Karen, I was like, since when is Karen? Who came up with that word or
I
that name?
think it was like
Represent.
Karen was the first person that went viral that was bitching at someone. I'm
Oh, okay,
kidding.
so
I
it's
have
like
no idea. I'm like
yeah,
that.
I believe you because that sounded feasible.
It might be true. It might be true that and that might be the origin of the Karen. But yeah, unfortunately, yeah, it looks like we would be stuck with the review bombing for websites like these. But
Yeah, I mean, do
yeah,
you
well,
think it would ever stop?
no, no, because
Yeah, me
someone's always
neither.
gonna
I
be
just
unhappy about one thing or the other. Like I said, there's not you're never gonna please everyone,
yeah,
and the thing that we just have to like come to terms with is that yeah you're not gonna please everyone, and sometimes it is just the louder minority that
hmm
are doing like the review bombs. So we would just have to just acknowledge that the average consumer, average viewer is smarter than they're sometimes given credit for, and they're not gonna fall for this review bombing, because like
yeah,
it's pretty clear when something has been review bombed, because again you click on it and if you're going to see like all right because like again like using me as an example when I go to these to the reviews I like to see all right what was your like negatives, what were your pros, and blah blah blah. Just like weigh these and then like sway me into like one direction or the next.
yeah,
If all the criticism I keep getting is like, oh, black chick, bad show, trash.
yeah,
Like, all right,
yeah,
yeah, I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna like keep swiping unless I'm in
yeah.
in the mood for like the toxic fights in these, and I was reading the reviews.
Yeah.
But
It
yeah,
is fun watching those guys fight, though. It is. I would have to admit that's the part of me I hate about it too. Watching this shit show
they
sometimes.
have some epic burns that I would never think
Exactly.
about.
hmm
So I mean, there you go. We take the good and the bad. The bad
Yeah.
review bombings, but the good. It's
Mhm.
these are sometimes entertaining.
Yeah.
There you go. We fixed toxic fanboys.
Did we?